we have a wonderful guest on the show. She is best known as Maria. She was on Sesame Street from 1971 until her retirement in 2015. Actress Sonia Manzano, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for welcoming me. And I'm gonna talk to you guys, even though I'm not an outlaw. I'm an in-law. But anyway, we're cool.
All right. Yes, we're cool. We're cool. You're in now. So
Okay.
first, real quick, let's talk about that experience. What was it like to be on such an iconic show for such a long length of time? You don't often hear people being able to be in a situation where they're on a strong show for that extended period of time. Talk about that experience.
Well, it was just so thrilling. I feel like I blinked and 44 years just went speeding by. Of course, at the time I was on it, I didn't realize it was going to turn into the iconic show, the groundbreaking show, that it eventually became known. Every year we were thinking, oh, it's going to end next year. I thought it was going to be on for about 5 years. I was in my early 20s at that time. And it was like the show they couldn't kill. And it's really remarkable because, you have to say this about Americans. We prefer new things, so to have this old show sort of like hang in there was remarkable. And I think it was the genius of Jim Henson and the Muppets that had a lot to do with that.
Absolutely. What was it like working with him? I mean, that had to be fun.
I was on the street set. I was part of the human cast, as you know, and then he would come in on, to do Kermit or Ernie, and on special days when they would do what we used to call inserts. And so I didn't work with him as closely as with others, but he was a visionary. I think he kind of had a pulse. The finger on the pulse of the universe, for example, whereas I was concerned myself with the needs of children in the Bronx, because that's where I'm from, he would concern himself with the children's life in the universe. So he was that kind of guy, a real forward thinker, a real unique sensibility, as you can imagine, to come up with those zany characters that have, touched the hearts of so many people.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're talking with actress Sonia Manzano, who was Maria on Sesame Street. Now, what is it like to? I mean, millions upon millions of kids grew up with you in their homes and things like that. Have you ever thought about that? What is that like to know that you've influenced generations of children across the country?
Well, it's just been extremely heartwarming, and I really know the impact that I had on people, and the show had on people now that I've retired, because so many people have written to me. And I was born and raised in the South Bronx at a time where there were no people of color on television. I used to watch a lot of television and wonder where I was going to fit in society, because it seemed that society didn't see me. So I grew up to be on a show that had the first show that had people of color on television, with Susan and Gordon. This is 1969, so this is a long time ago. And I remember flipping out when I saw them, because they spoke to me from like this inner city street, what was called the inner city then, some outdated term. But that's where they spoke to me from, and so I think I sort of grew up to be what I needed to see myself on television when I was a kid. A Latino woman that Latin kids could relate to and feel that they were part of the greater society. So that's been very gratifying.
Absolutely. So you talk about how it was important for you to be that representation, especially at a time where you didn't see many people of color, particularly in the Hispanic community. Where do you think we've come far from that time? Is it better? Do you think there's still work to be done? Not only just within the entertainment industry, but just acceptance and understanding of the Hispanic community and Hispanic culture in general?
Well, I think that we've come quite a ways from where we were, but I have to say that in '69 we thought we were going to, close the education gap. We thought we were going to eradicate the racism, and it kind of like is a perfect segue into what I want to talk about in this phone call. Is that now we haven't gone far enough, and if we don't pay attention to this election, we might pick the wrong person that will set us back even further than we could have ever imagined. And, that's certainly why I want to talk to you about, my feelings and my support for Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine, because I think that if anyone, they are going to take us forward. And I think the opposition will certainly clearly take us back. I mean, to make statements about how Mexicans are rapists and gangsters.
Right.
Jim Henson must be twirling in his grave, to hear those kinds of statements and all of those early creators of Sesame Street that are gone, to hear this kind of talk from a presidential hopeful is heartbreaking and depressing. And but it need not be if everybody goes out and votes early. As I know that the Cincinnati has early voting, and actually I was just there. I was at Sinclair College in Dayton.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was just there. I was giving a Hispanic Heritage Month, and I was giving a speech on diversity. But anyway, I just wanted enforce the fact that people in Ohio should really take advantage of the fact that they have early voting, that they don't have to wait for the one day that their kid is going to get sick and it's raining, that they could go. You've been voting since October 12th, and you can till November 7th, as you know.
Right.
And don't let it be. You know how sometimes when you say like a movie opens and you figure, oh, I'll go see it. I got plenty of time. To see the movie, and then the movie closes and you go, I can't believe I didn't see it.
Right.
I would urge people not to let it be that way, and vote for the Clinton ticket, so that we keep going forward, in society, as opposed to sort of being taken back to the dark ages.
Now, we're talking with actress Sonia Manzano, who was Maria on Sesame Street. First of all, I just want to point out that, this legendary actress appreciated my wonderful segue that I just set up there. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about that. What brought you to your support for the candidate that you chose to support? Like, was there a particular thing that kind of inspired you or motivated you or something like that?
Yeah, I met Hillary Clinton when she was the First Lady, and we were on a panel at the White House promulgating the importance of public television, how public television should stay on the air so that kids could watch programming that didn't have commercials in it.
Right.
So we were, I was, talking about how important that was, and she was talking about how important that was, and then she came out and she said to all the reporters, couldn't we as a society decide that children should not be sold product to, up until a certain age? And I thought that was very forward thinking for that time. And then recently, the next time I saw her was more recently. Now I'm going to drop a name. The other Sonia from the Bronx, Sonia Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice. She is working or lending her support to a Bronx Children's Museum. It's the only borough that doesn't have a children's museum.
Oh, wow.
And I know, it's the borough that most needs it, too. So we were there, trying to, get people inspired about this. And there showed up Hillary Clinton. And it was great. There was no press. And, it was lovely to see her. And that reminds me that she was part of the Children's Defense Fund with Marion Wright Edelman way back when. And that she has always been interested in the well-being of children's health and children's education. So, that certainly is right up my alley.
Absolutely. Real quick, we know we got to let you go here. We have 2 more questions for you. One, Jessica has.
Yes. So before you go, I have to ask you, because I know my favorite moment of Sesame Street was anything with Elmo, because when I was younger, I always told my mother that was going to be my husband. So I feel like you're the closest step to Elmo right now. So what was your favorite moment on Sesame Street?
Oh, I think that probably my wedding. This was like in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
When Maria and Luis got married, when I had the baby on Sesame Street. And then I was most proud of being part of the show when we did the Goodbye Mr. Hooper, when Mr. Hooper died.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we did a whole series about that, and that was a great moment. But there were so many. I mean, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, Tony Bennett, when they were on, when Alicia Keys was on.
So many iconic people.
Yeah, right. They were big. People who had been stars when I was little. When I was little, I actually Stevie Wonder when he was little. Stevie Wonder, he was 14 years old on American Bandstand.
Oh wow!
So to see him, so he see him come in and do very superstitious was, a really high point. At my time there, and I could go on. Do you have half an hour? Okay, then there's Lena Horne. When I saw her on the show, I walk in there and she's singing "It's Not Easy Being Green" with Kermit, and I'm thinking, are they singing about what I think they're singing about? And of course, they were singing about that and many things, and that was a real high point for me.
Yeah.
Right. Let everybody know how to get in contact with you on social media, how people can follow and keep up with you.
Well, I have a website, and that certainly will connect people who are interested to my social media.
Okay, and that website is
SoniaManzano.com. SoniaManzano.com.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. This has been a real honor and pleasure for us.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. Somebody's yelling at me here, and they want me to mention that the polls open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, Saturdays 8 to 4, and Sunday 1 to 5. Now, you folks know that, but they're telling me to tell you what you already know.
well, that's good, though, because there may be some people in our audience that weren't aware of that, so that's important.
Oh, okay, very good.
All right. Thank you so much.
My friends. Thank you.